Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Good Intentions with Lisa-Tien. That is me. It is like 9 p.m. on a Wednesday. I just randomly had a spurt of energy to record an episode when I really should be going to bed early because my whole life is adjusting this fucking camera. Okay, what was I saying? 9 p.m. on a Wednesday when, yes, I should be getting ready for bed and practicing sleeping early, but I just had this random urge. And it's not so much random, it's because I had my hair washed today and I like blowed it out and my boobs look good. So I'm just going to move this microphone. So if y'all are watching, y'all can see. Amazing! Look at that. Wow. Dr. Venemeyer did such a fucking amazing job. And I did an amazing job on my hair. Okay, so if you guys are finally listening to this, then y'all already listened to the part 1 and part 2 of the story of what finally made me wake the fuck up and decide to leave once and for all for the third time, right? So I want to get into what all I found out after I left. So yes, things that narcissists do: they lie, they manipulate, they cheat, they are self-centered, very self-centered. I never thought of my ex as a liar. Ever. Ever. Like, because he told me, I'd never lie to you, right? And I just believed him. Because why wouldn't I believe him, right? He was always so brutally honest. Like, it caused him some sort of like anxiety if he didn't blurt out whatever it was that he needed to get out. So that was one of the reasons why I never thought that he would lie. All right, so after I moved out, I think in that last episode I mentioned how we were tripping, and after doing all the meditations, I was just like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to have to fake it. I don't want to be around this person. Right? It was just like a huge wake-up call. Like, yes, you can leave. You can go. You don't have to stay here anymore. You don't have to pretend or lie to yourself anymore. We're free. You are free, is what I realized. So then my client's husband, who helped me move my stuff out the first time, he came and picked me up back to his house. His wife is a client of mine. I do her hair. And I absolutely love and adore them and their family. I remember when she came home from work, she just gave me this hug and I just like cried in her arms because I'm about to get emotional randomly. It was just a very sweet moment. I remember she like just got off of work and she's wearing heels and she's tall already. I'm 5'2", and when she's hugging me, like my boobs are just, or not my boobs, my head is just like on her boobs, and she's just like, I don't know how long we hugged for. It had to have been like, what it felt for me was 5 minutes of us just hugging and me just like crying in her arms and her just saying like, you're safe now. And again, I don't think I tell my friends enough how much I love them, and I feel like I should, because holy shit, like everyone who was there for me, I don't know where I would be without all of these people who just had my back and who was very patient with me through the years of this whole like back and forth bullshit, right? So I stayed with them for, I think, a month or 2 months, I forget. It was just, every day was different. Some days I would just be like, oh my God, I cannot believe it's finally over. Some days I would be like, oh my God, I can't believe I stayed, and the more space you have when you are out of a relationship like that, you have this space to reflect, and then you realize like how abusive it actually was. When I had left, we were still in contact, he and I, through email because I had already paid for my boobs to get done, and I didn't have enough of a balance on my care credit card because I had the stem cell procedure balance on it. So we put the remainder on his, which I was already making payments on. And because it was under his credit card, that like I felt like we should have at least a line of communication. And I remember being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make payments on it, like I don't want anything to happen, like I didn't, some people would be like, fuck that, I would stop paying or whatever, and I would just be like, oh no, that's messed up. And my friend suggested that we should post him on the Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook page, because he was posted like a year ago, and I talked about this in one of the episodes. Yeah, he was posted, but at that time we were in an open relationship, so I didn't think anything of it other than the comments of this girl who like just caught feelings for him or whatever. And she was like, "Oh, we should post him again." And I was just like, "No, like I don't want any drama. I don't want any of that. I don't want to like drag him." Of course, I thought about how it is important to let people know that he is an abuser, but I just didn't even want to do any of that, right? A part of me still wanted to protect him. And it wasn't until I find out that this man had lied, point blank, period, about an STD that he had. And when he told me that he had it, he acted like he just found out, that he went and got tested for everything, just like part of his yearly thing. And oh my God, I have this. And he said that he felt so gross. He threw up. He like made a whole scene, and he was just like freaking out. And he told me that he was talking to his dad, and he told his dad, and he's like crying. And I was just like, it's not that big of a deal. Like a lot of people have it. A lot of people have it and they don't know that they have it. A lot of people have it and they never have an outbreak ever. Right? Like it's okay. It's fine. Turns out he's had it for about 15 years. And when I found out that he lied about that, it's on. I was like shaking because that was the first thing that I realized or knew, that he blatantly lied and put on a show. And so I told my friends, I was like, here's a picture. This is what I would say. Wrote out a prompt. Post that shit because I'm not on Facebook. She posted it on both of the Facebook pages, and the hits that came through, oh boy. Some people had met up with him once, got a weird narcissistic vibe. They didn't ever see him again. Some of these girls, got the ick before even meeting. One girl made a joke, oh, he'll block you before you even leave the house. Some girls shared their experiences, and it wasn't a safe, consensual experience. I will just say that. It is just coercion, like sexual coercion. And of course I believe them because he did that to me, right? And when I found that out, there were like a handful of women that came forward about their experience with him. I decided that I'm going to file a police report. It might not do anything, but at least there's a paper trail. So if he ever did something like that again in the future and they go to the police, maybe they'll finally have something can happen. Right. And I did encourage these women to file as well. But the thing with sexual coercion, it's just a fine line because it is manipulation and you're not necessarily willingly doing it, but you're making the choice to do whatever it is that they want you to do, which is, you know, fucking let him face fuck you until you're gagging or whatever, or having sex with him when you don't want to, whether it's oral, anal, vaginal, whatever. And it's not okay because they, narcissists, okay, especially him, already hyper vigilant, already knows how to read people, right? He's not fucking stupid. He can you can see, you can look at someone and know if they want to do something or not. Whether you're a narcissist or not. Obviously, if they don't have a fucking smile on their face when they're about to put your dick in their mouth, then it probably means they don't want that, right? Or if they're crying. There have been so many times early on in our relationship or just throughout where I'm crying while I'm having sex with him. And he would just tell me that I'm ruining it for him because I'm crying. Like, this isn't fun for him because I'm crying. So, like, why can't I just act like I'm into it so that it's better for him? Huh. Very interesting. So, again, I filed a police report, and the officer that I spoke with, he said that, yeah, like, guys, men like this, they just get worse with age. He said that it's like he knows where that line is to not cross for it to be an actual crime. Because I did mention to him several different domestic violence issues, you know, him throwing stuff, yelling. I mean, I guess, I mean, that's not necessarily something that you can get arrested for, but him not letting me leave the house, right? And he said, okay, so when you said locked you in the room, you know, to specify. So I said, well, yeah, he didn't. He just stood in front of the door and would not move. And if I tried to push him out of the way, if I'm yelling, if I'm, you know, there was one or two times where we were in heated argument and he is again not letting me leave the room. I'm screaming, I'm starting to throw punches, I'm scratching him, I like rip his shorts. I'm freaking out. And then I learned that me acting that way isn't going to get me anywhere, so I have to just sit and be calm and just let him spew on and on more about his feelings. So yeah, this officer, he just asked questions. He was like, did at any point when he did not let you leave the house, did you say, I'm going to call the cops? Because if I say that, then that is a right of mine. And if he does not allow me to, then I forgot what term it was, but that is something that they could actually do something with. And I said no. And I told him there was one time, you know, like he took my phone, my keys, my wallet. There was one time where this man is chasing me in the house because he had already taken my phone, but I had my watch and it was on the charger. And I tried to be slick, right? Because we're arguing and he didn't let me leave the bedroom for a while, but now he finally opens the bedroom door and it's not like I can do anything, right? Because I don't have my phone, my keys, or anything like that. I can't leave. I can't call anyone. And I was like, I have my watch. So as he's like going on and on and on, I just go over there to my watch is on the charger, which is on the side table in the living room, like right next to the couch. I grab it. He notices obviously. And so now he like lunges at me and he's trying to get it. I'm not letting him get it. I run into the bathroom. He's chasing me into the bathroom to try to get my watch. I'm trying to close the door before he gets into the bathroom. Of course, he makes his way into the bathroom. He gets the watch. I then run out of the front door. And I said, I'm going to knock on the neighbor's door and I'm going to ask them to use their phone or to call the police. Yeah, I did say to call the police. And that was the only time I said that. So I let the police officer know that this is something that happened, right? So I escaped, ran out of the front door, yelled, I'm going to go to the neighbors and I'm going to call the cops. And my ex says, no, please, can you come back inside? That's really trashy. So I didn't want to be trashy. So I walk back towards the door and I said, you need to give me my phone back, my keys, and my wallet. You cannot take this from me again. And I don't want to deal with this anymore. Like, I don't want to fucking talk about shit. I don't want to have sex with you. If I'm coming back inside, just leave me alone. And then he did. From what I remember, that's all I remember from that night. I don't really remember if things escalated from there or if we were actually able to go to sleep or if he coerced me into having sex with him again. But yeah, so I'm telling the police officer all of this. And, you know, he was like, he filed the report. He said that the detective would get in touch with me, and the detective did. He asked me when all of these things happened, do I have pictures of any bruises or anything of the sort? I said no, like they need actual evidence of the violence, the domestic violence or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I don't have any of that. All I have were these emails. So in the email that he sent me when I left the first time of his like whole spiritual awakening, he did say he apologized for his behaviors and getting physical with me and stuff like that. Like that was the closest to any kind of proof that I had, but it wasn't specific. So I mean, in it, he did also apologize for coercing me into having sex. So, anyway, nothing went with, I didn't really expect much with me going to file a police report. I figured that if the other women did as well, then maybe they could do something about it, but they didn't. And it just is what it is. But Detective Cole, he said, since there isn't proof, he is going to call my ex and ask him about the situation and see what he has to say. And I said, well, he's just going to deny everything. And that's just that. And of course, he did. He denied it. And that was that. And it had been a couple months or so after that. I had already filed for divorce by then. And every once in a while, I would get like an email from him. And like one time he sent me an email of the picture of the moon, just 2 pictures of the moon, just baiting you to respond. And he got me on a good night because I had been drinking and I saw that he emailed me. And then I saw that it was a picture of the fucking moon and I'm drunk and I just couldn't not respond. And I just said, I'm mad at you. And then of course then he's sending me emails, well, and we need to talk. There needs to be closure. If you're still upset with me, then we should talk and blah blah blah. And there was another time he was like, can I please take you to breakfast? And I'm like, in what world do I ever want to see you again? I don't ever want to hear your voice, let alone see you ever again. But that's just stuff I say in my head. Like at certain points, I just stop responding to any of the emails that he sends. And I think he caught on. So as time goes by and as I'm healing and processing everything, right? I decide he used his credit card for my boobs. He did or has done so much fucked up shit to who knows how many women. There was one woman that came forward, and when she met him, which was like over 10 years ago, she was underage. And he was very aware of how old she was. I mean, she didn't remember if it was like 16 or 17, but she did say, you know, she was a willing participant at the time, but now that she's older, she realizes that it was, you know, manipulation and grooming. And she said that there were sometimes when he would be sweet and sometimes when he would be forceful, as well as the other women who wasn't really expecting to have sex with him when they came over to hang out, but he coerced them into having sex, even if they spoke up and said they didn't want to or wasn't really comfortable. So I decided that I don't want anything to do with him anymore whatsoever. I don't want to see his name. I don't want nothing. So I'm just going to stop because I don't owe him anything, is what I decided. And I think he caught on. So then he sent me an email and he was like, "Can we please talk about this so we don't have to talk about it in small claims court?" And I said, "You know, it's a crime to not let people know that you have an STD and still having sex with them when you have a transmittable STD." And also, you know, I just mic dropped on him. I was like, "And I know that you slept with a girl that was underage." And he was like, "I would never do something like that, blah, blah, blah. You know, my friend told me what was said on that group. And, you know I don't have anything to worry about because I would never do something like that to anybody and blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "Oh, that's funny. Well, here's this point. Here's that point. Funny that you didn't, but she knows where you live, knows your address and all that shit." So he changed, he changed his tune almost immediately. And he was like, "Okay, fine. I'll pay for it." When his original, well, that wasn't also was not the first time he contacted me about the care credit stuff. He had tried to request some money from me on Zelle and, you know, sent another email before that and was like, "You're taking food out of the girls' mouths and my dad is old and this isn't fair to him." Like just random bullshit stuff that used to work on me in the past, but it doesn't anymore. Like I was reading this email of him basically like trying to guilt or shame me and make me feel bad for the decision that I made. And normally it would get me, right? But this time I was like, it's so fucking full of shit. And then also in that email, he did mention small claims court. So he did twice. And I was like, I already spoke with a lawyer. So, you know, they said you should have added it in the divorce decree, but he was like, "I didn't think that you would ever not do this." And that's funny because I didn't ever think that you would ever do something like that to anybody. And it makes me sick to my stomach that he is a father to two girls. I don't know how can a narcissist really be a good parent? There were some days where I would look at him and I would be like, "Wow, like he's a really good dad." But then there's some days where I'm just like, "Why are you yelling at them for something like this? Why are you getting upset?" And, he would be like, "Oh, there are a few times where he'll just tell me, like, "You don't get it. You're like a weekend warrior parent. Like, you're not here. You're at work. You aren't around enough where they're asking you these same questions over and over and over again and blah, 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 blah." It just never really made sense to me, but now it does. It does, because it never will make sense, because I'm not a narcissist, and we never really will ever know, like, what they're thinking truly, because I don't know. I don't know if he like believes his reality, how much of it he believes. Does he really think that he's a good person? Like, I don't know. He feels like he's like, I don't know. There were a few times where when he's like quote unquote going off on me, but it wasn't like yelling. It was more like going off as in, I've done all this to change and you're the one that hasn't changed and blah 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 blah. And he would kind of just be like, basically like, I'm a catch and girls want to be with me and guys want to be me. And how he thought of himself, does he really believe that? Because narcissists are also very insecure. So I don't know if that's just like this fake reality that he has in his head. I guess we will never really know. It's very triggering, I will say, when these women, came out and said all of this stuff. Like, again, I wasn't on Facebook, so my friends were like screenshotting the comments, or one of them was private messaging them. And again, he did this, to me. His behaviors or whatever, right? But I never thought that he had done it before. So that was just very shocking to me. And I can't even imagine, like, I don't know, has he hit women before in the past and realized, oh, I can't do that, like I've also said before, narcissists know how to lie and manipulate better than the last time. So I don't know at his worst what that would have looked like, with what relationship. It just like it never sank in. And the reason that you don't think that is because you're a good person and you see the best in people, and you just don't think that someone else is capable of doing that. So when all of this was coming to light, like, it's more than just an ick. Like, I would feel just sick to my stomach, or I would cry, because I would be like, I cannot believe that that was my husband, that I laid in bed with him every night. And at some point, I loved him. And at some point, I felt safe with him, but not really, right? I never was safe with this person. It got to a point where I had to say, I can't, like, I can't read any more of this. Like, can y'all just stop sending me stuff? Because it was bad. He didn't ever forcefully, it wasn't ever rape, but it was fucked up. And also, something that narcissists do, where it's like they're kind of confessing but not. So they will tell a story and say, oh, my friend did this, or oh, this happened, but it's really something that they did. And it's kind of like they're getting a release of, like, quote unquote telling the truth, but not really, because they're lying about who did it or who it happened to or whatever. But they like give you this information to see like how you would react about it. So there's this his friend that they call Big Nasty, and he's told me some stories about him, and I'm just like, ew, I'm not a fucking fan. He told me there was this one time that, and this is a friend that he like grew up with or some shit like that. They went to high school. He said that they were at this party and Big Nasty was in the closet and hooking up with this girl, but she didn't really want to hook up with him. And then the party got raided and he was still like going. I was like, ew. So now, like, all of these things that he's ever said, I'm wondering if it's something that he said or something that he did, right? He has told me this one story of when he went to float the river with one of his friends, and they brought girls. And he said that when they drove back, so they took separate cars, and when they were on their way back, this girl was quote unquote being immature and said, "Pull over right now. If you don't pull over, I'm going to tell everyone that you raped me." And he is telling this story, and he was like, "That's so fucked up. Like, I don't play that immature game," and blah, 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 you know? And at the time when he was telling me this, I was like, oh, yeah, like, that's really messed up. But now that I know everything that I know, I'm just like, I wonder if he did. And I will never truly know. I actually am kind of glad that I'm getting all of this out there, because now I don't have to think about what it is that I want to say, how much I want to share, because it's like a done deal. It is just a very, like, again, so blessed, so thankful, so grateful that it was just a very short amount of time in my life, and there wasn't a lot of damage done, because I cannot imagine. So now I'm here, and my intention is to obviously share my story, things that I've learned, and I hope to help anyone and everyone who is in a relationship like this, who has left a relationship like this, who is thinking about leaving a relationship like this, who knows someone who is in a relationship like this, to find strength and courage to choose themselves and finally leave. Because when you stay, you are continuing to diminish as a human being. One of my clients today, absolutely adore her. She used to be in a relationship like this. One of her friends is married to a narcissist, and she told me that, what is this phrase that she said? That if you treat him like a king, he will treat you like how a king would treat you, as like a peasant or whatever. And I'm like, damn, that's true. Like, the more you can't, this isn't a thing, okay? You can't do more and give more of yourself over in hopes that someone's going to love you and see you, whether it's with a narcissist or an abuser or just in general, okay? You can't. And I thought this was something that I learned because when I was the ripe age of 17, there's this guy that I used to see that was older, and we had a little fling, and it just was what it was. But then we had another fling a few years after that, and I had it in my head that we were like, I don't know, like destined, or because of how we met and things that had happened in his life, and the fact that I was around, like, I was like, oh, it again is like the pick me energy. It was very much like, oh, if I do this, if I show him this, if I give more, then he'll love me. It doesn't work like that. Love yourself. So, again, I thought that that was something that I learned in that whole ordeal with that guy who, I mean, we're still friends. We are friends to this day. But I thought that was something that I learned, because then whenever I met my ex-boyfriend, I think that situation, I was just very lucky. Like, there wasn't a lot of, we just clicked and it just worked until it didn't after 2.5 years, and that's fine. But then with the ex-husband, again, I think that was very pick me energy. In a sense, it was like, oh, well, I don't really want to be with this person, but I'm still hanging out with him, right? I'm saying that I don't want to be with this person, but my energy and my focus is still on this person, where my free time, I want to spend time with this person. Why? You don't need to, or have to, or should put your energy anywhere that you don't want it to be. So if there's this person that you don't want to be with or whatever, like, why are you doing wifey shit for them? Why are you cooking? Why are you bringing them food? You don't need to be doing that. If you're just trying to have sex, then go over there, have sex, and leave. I'm in this place now. I don't know how long I'm going to be in this place though, because I have ADHD, and I hyperfixate, and then I kind of get over stuff. But my mindset right now is like, yeah, I'm not really interested in dating, and I'm not even really interested in hooking up, which is kind of crazy because your girl was a thought. And I think I kind of just realized feeling that energy, it's all energy, right? And I just get really, sometimes, again, hyperfixating, I would just get really like riled up at this idea or this thought. And then I can't really let it go. And same thing with sex. Like, I'll be like, oh, like I really want to have sex and I really blah, blah, blah. So now I'm like hyperfixating on the fact that I want this and how good it would feel. And oh, like, oh, I could hook up with this person and blah, blah, blah. But that's just like wasted energy. It's not, I mean, whatever, do you. But in where I am at now, I know that that truly isn't really something that I want. What I truly want is to really focus on myself. And what does that mean, right? What does it mean when you say, oh, let's focus on ourselves? I don't want to date. Like, I don't see myself really wanting to date or care to date until the summertime, which would have made it about a year since I've been divorced. And I don't really want to hook up. There's a guy that I have on the fly for that if I really wanted to. But like with anyone new, anyone else, like I just feel like that's just not something that I really care for or about. So we gonna practice celibacy. Except for, well, there's gonna be that one person, but celibacy with everybody else. And tracking my macros, tracking my weight, tracking things that I want to manage and things that I want to change, getting back into shape because I was going back through my memories on Snapchat, and 2023 me, wow. We want to get back there, but better, bigger glutes, happier. I want to meditate again. I just want to get back into a regular, healthy mental routine and actively do things that are good for me and try really hard not to do things that aren't good for me, which is hitting that vape nicotine, hitting that weed vape, like going out. I feel like going out is still fun every once in a while, but lately I haven't really been wanting to. Working more, picking up shifts, maybe I was going to say get a second job, but I don't want to do that. Like truly spending time with myself and figuring out what exactly it is that I would even want in a partner. Because something that I have always said in the past was like, I feel like I could fall in love with anyone. Like, I don't think that there's just that one person for you, which I don't believe that. But the fact that I would say, oh, I can just fall in love with anyone. No, bitch. I think it was a few months ago, I wrote down everything that I want in a partner and visualize how that felt, how I felt with this partner, the love, the compassion, the safety, what I wanted them to kind of look like, their drive, their passion, how they feel with me, and trying to, like, I don't know, manifest and visualize and just really thinking and being intentional about my partner and not so and so directionless, because I never want to end up in that situation ever again. I will never end up in that situation ever again. But some people do. And I'm going to make damn sure that it ain't going to be me. We're going to have our list. Does this person meet the criteria? But before that, do I meet the criteria of who I want to be and where I want to be in life? That is number one important tense for me right now. And I feel good about it. This is why I'm recording a podcast episode at 9 p.m. and not binge eating. But I did that last night. Yesterday was day 1 of me tracking my food, and I fucking failed. And by failed, I mean I overate my calories and just continue to do so. But today, we on point. Wow. I think that's all I have to share. I just wanted to do part 3. Thank you guys. Do I need to, I'm like trying to figure out how I want to wrap this up. Yeah, being in that relationship was a very wild experience. And I think it will continue to be wild when I think about it. I mean, even sharing my experience on this podcast, and when I say these things out loud, I'm just like, that's crazy. But when I was in it and people were telling me it's crazy or that he was crazy, that just never sank in for me. Because I loved this person and I cared about him and made excuses for him, and he's only this way because his mom didn't love him the way that he should have been loved, and his parents got divorced when he was 5, and then he had a crazy stepmother, and then his mom also got remarried twice, I think. I forget. Maybe it was just once, I don't even remember, and blah 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 blah. Like, these are all the reasons why he's this way, and it doesn't matter what the reason is. If that person is a piece of shit, and even at this point, I feel bad for saying that he's a piece of shit. So let me just not say that, because that's just negative energy. If this person is an abuser, stop making excuses for them. That behavior should not be excused. Oh, I had a bad day, so I'm just going to kick my fucking dog. What? That's crazy. All right, I'm getting really tired. So you guys, thank you for listening. Stay safe out there. Be aware of your intentions and of other people's intentions of you or expectations. Vibes. Thank you. Bye.